I'm Ginny Just.
And I'm Beth Soboloff, and we're
Two Grannies on the Road.
Welcome back to Two Grannies on the Road. We've been meeting a lot of great baby boomers who are proving that they are still relevant in the business world.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of adventures along the way. We've been exploring a lot of South Shore communities, eating at a lot of great restaurants, and learning how to use the video equipment so we can do it properly when we're on the road.
We recently got new headshots as well. We both really hate having our picture taken, but we really had so much fun doing this session. We had an excellent photographer, Karen Wong of Karen Wong Photography in Duxbury, Massachusetts, and we had our makeup done by image consultant Lori Johnson. She also helped us pick out what to wear and stood by during the whole shoot to straighten and buff.
And I also need to give a shout out to my hairdresser, Shauna Storm. She made my hair look great.
And the great cut I got from my hairdresser, Kenny, at Dharma's in Brockton.
You know what? I think it takes a village to make us look good.
We've been very lucky to be able to surround ourselves with a lot of wonderful women entrepreneurs who work hard every day to run their businesses, along with being great moms, grandmothers, and wives. Each spring we honor these great women on Mother's Day, so today we want to take the time to wish every woman out there a happy Mother's Day, because even those who don't have children have someone, a child, an older adult, or maybe even a pet, that they have helped nurture and care for.
And today we would like to introduce one of those women to you. This is Nancy O'Keefe, and she's the owner of Simple Small Business Solutions. She's also president of the South Shore Women's Business Network. Thanks for being with us today, Nancy.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. You guys are doing a really fun thing.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. We're having fun doing it. I understand that you have reinvented yourself several times. Can you tell us about your career path?
Oh gosh, yes, many times. I started out as a clerk stenographer working for the government in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
And I was married and left to have a child, and when I got back into the workforce, it was so different. So I found a little job working for an insurance agency as the receptionist. I really didn't have a whole lot of skills. I was right out of high school, and people weren't using shorthand anymore, so it was a whole new world. And little by little, I got involved in the insurance industry. It was an insurance agency. And then I moved into technology, serving the insurance industry. And then I moved into outsourcing. I started my own firm to help insurance companies do some of their processing and their back office work. So it's been quite a ride, and I've really enjoyed the technology piece because so many new things have come down the pike since I started in it, and it's just been really exciting learning about it and keeping up with it and helping my clients with it.
That's not even all the switches. There's more.
There's more switches. Okay, we want to go to all the switches. Yes, actually I retired from my outsourcing business, and then I thought, you know, I'm really pretty creative and I wanted to do something fun, and a lot of people used to come to me and say, oh, will you help me decorate this or help me with some color on that? And I thought, you know, I'm going to try home staging. I watch HGTV and that looks like a ball, and I think I could do that. So I started a home staging business about 3 days before the real estate market dropped to the bottom, and nobody was looking for staging help. So then I added color consultations and a little bit of redecorating, not from scratch. I wasn't a real, designer, but just kind of rearranging the room and freshening it up a little bit. And it was a lot of fun, so I had fun with that. And at some point, people came to me and started asking me for consulting help, and I just realized that it was fun, but I probably needed to go back to business, helping other businesses, which I have done most of my 30-plus years career. So, yeah, and now I'm actually morphing again because I'm really starting to look at the gender wage gap and how we might help women close that, because I don't think laws alone are going to do it. It's going to take a village, as you mentioned, and I put together a program which I hope will help with that. So that's kind of where I am now.
Excellent. Well, we're going to talk about that more for sure later, but you mentioned kind of why you made the various switches, technology changes, different things, the economy not doing what you wanted to do. But what's the biggest challenge in making a switch to a new career?
Well, being willing to sort of step back and realize you don't know anything and being okay with that, and then learning. I'm an insatiable learner. I'm always learning something. That's just part of my personality. So it's easy for me to dig into something new. I really like that. And that's, I think, what made it easy for me, because it enabled me to, dig in, read a lot of books, find out about what was going on, keep up with the trends. So that's, I think, the key.
Sounds great.
You're president of the South Shore Women's Business Network, and I'm sure you've run into a lot of different baby boomers throughout the years or whatever. And can you tell us what you would give people for advice that want to start a business but don't know how to start a business?
Get help. And you need a team. You need a team of professionals that can help you. You need a good accountant. You need a good attorney. You need a good business coach, because there's a whole lot of mistakes you can make that will end up costing you a lot of money and wasting a lot of your time. And the first thing I would suggest to people is that they really sit down and have a heart-to-heart with themselves about why they want to start the business, because it's a hard road, and it takes a lot of perseverance to push through the bad times. And it's important that you're in touch with your passion about what you're doing, because that's what's going to sustain you when things get a little tough. So I would say really sit down and don't go into it with rose-colored glasses. It's hard, very rewarding, very fulfilling, and I've done it several times, and I could never work for anyone else again. I just love being my own boss. I'd probably be a terrible employee at this point. But do go into it with your eyes wide open, and not only about the business things, but how it's going to impact your life and the people in your life, your family, your children, your parents, whoever it is, a significant other, your husband. It's important that they're on board and everybody's clear about how life might change when you're not home to cook supper or do the laundry or whatever else. So that's what I would suggest.
Great.
Good advice. So can you tell us a little bit about the South Shore Women's Business Network?
I would love to. We're a networking group. We just had our 25th anniversary. And at the network, we like to think of our form of networking as being a little bit different than what's out there in most venues. We tend to have people that join and build deeper relationships, stay members for quite a long time, and really cultivate the network in terms of not only business connections, but friends. We have a lot of people that have made deep, long-lasting friendships through the network. This year, we're doing something slightly different. We're still about networking. We're still about business women and helping people with their careers, collaborating, providing some education and all that. But we're also networking with a cause this year. We've chosen 4 women's issues to support and help, one each quarter. We did homeless women in the first quarter and worked with Father Bill's and Mainspring to raise money for them to help homeless women. And we were quite surprised to find out that some of the women that need help aren't necessarily homeless, but just might really need to get better skills, a better job, better living situation. It was really very eye-opening. This quarter, we're working with the Dove organization on domestic violence. We're going to try and raise some awareness, some money around that, and help women, again, with some skills and whatever services we can provide as business owners to help them end their situation if it's not a good one.
Wow, those are both really great subjects. I can't wait to hear what the next 2 are going to be.
Well, we're going to focus on women veterans in the third quarter. We do a lot for our veterans, but I don't think we often think of women as being veterans. And there are more and more of them all the time in the military. And then in the fourth quarter, we're going to do something with children, either to combat children's hunger. There are a lot of kids in a lot of schools throughout the South Shore that, the lunch they get at school is pretty much the only meal they get. And when they go home, maybe they don't have 3 meals a day on the weekends. So there's a lot that needs to be done there as well. So we hope to have a little impact there in the fourth quarter.
Great.
That's fantastic.
So come and join us because we're not all serious. We have a lot of fun. We have trivia contests, wine tastings. We're going to take a harbor cruise.
Wine tastings.
Yeah, it's you know, fun, get to know people, and do something good for the community at the same time.
Great.
And the website is?
It's www.sswbn.org.
All right.
Got it. Well, it's time for the Grannies road trip. We visited Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. Take a look. Hi there. We are here today with Tony Provenzano. Love that name. From Plymouth. He is a lawyer, but he's also running for re-election for Selectman in this lovely town. How many square miles really is Plymouth?
Plymouth is 105 square miles. It is the largest municipality by area in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
What's the population?
Population right now is nearly 60,000 folks year-round, and we have a summer population. It is a coastal community. So in the summertime, our population swells to over 80,000 folks. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And do you consider the population to be older, or are there a lot of young families?
Well, Plymouth has always had a very diverse population in terms of age and demographic. Certainly we are a wonderful place for growing families. We're a wonderful place to raise a family. I think, though, that following national trends, and to some extent as a result of some interesting factors in Plymouth, the population is beginning to skew a bit older. Yeah.
What is your form of government here in Plymouth?
Form of government is a representative town meeting and a 5-member board of selectmen. So we have 15 precincts, and each of those precincts sends 8 town meeting members, 135 town meeting members, which meet at least twice a year. We have a spring town meeting that is largely budgetary in nature, and then we have a fall town meeting that usually spends its time thinking about planning issues. So they meet twice a year, and then the Board of Selectmen, the executive authority of the town, where I've had the privilege to sit for the last 3 years, meet pretty much on a weekly basis on Tuesdays.
We're here today with Jordan Chabot, the owner of Speedwell Tavern in Plymouth. Thanks for being with us.
My
Jordan.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Got it.
It'll be 3 years this November since we opened up this location. We have a sister restaurant in New Bedford as well, so they're both pretty similar.
And what kind of food do you have?
We are known for it's sort of pub food, but a little bit more upscale, homemade. It's got a nice touch to it. You know, wings, burgers. We have 24 craft beers that are constantly rotating. Certified Angus beef burgers, big half-pound. Over 26 different flavors of boneless and bone-in wings. So, and then some other fare too, fish, common fare, things like that.
You have music too.
Yeah, we have music pretty much every night, you know, and twice on Saturdays, Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, and every weeknight, either a solo acoustic local artist, or we get more of the full, bigger bands on Friday and Saturdays and the weekends.
I've noticed that Plymouth really has become a destination for a really nice bar scene and things to do for young people in the wintertime or anytime, really.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about it too, it's a lot of really decent people that own the restaurants down here. We all work together. We did an event, a cooperative event yesterday. It was a fundraiser, Speedwell Tavern and Driftwood Tavern, which is a couple blocks down the road. We understand that we're kind of all fighting the same fight instead of competing with each other and trying to take business from each other. If we all work together, we can bring a lot business to Plymouth in general. Anyone can do burgers and wings. Maybe not as good as us, but anyone can do burgers and wings. But it's the relationships and the trust you build with not just the people that frequent your restaurant, but the people that surround it, your neighboring restaurants and neighboring businesses in town.
Don't you have a little collaboration with Two Grannies on the Road?
We sure do. We hooked up a little over a month ago. We are collaborating with Two Grannies on the Road. We are sort of sharing our Facebook marketing. We're also doing a 15% discount on food anytime someone likes Granny on the Road and shows us in the restaurant on their phone, or you know, points out the sticker we got at the front of the building, which is pretty obviously placed, but which is nice. You know, anyone that supports Two Grannies on the Road, as far as we're concerned, we'll support them. So,
excellent. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
my pleasure.
So Nancy, I think you would agree with me that it's very important for everyone, not just baby boomers, to understand what their purpose is and fulfill their purpose, and understand what their why is, and even convey that why to their customers, their clients, and even their coworkers. So how are you helping your clients with that?
Well, first of all, it's really important, as you mentioned, to do this because people buy from people, and people want to know about you. They want to understand whether you're somebody that they want to do business with. So the why is very, very important. And it's really about getting back to your passion and what you started to do things for. Most business owners, when they start out, have an idea. There's something they want to accomplish. And if you can get back to that, because as you progress through your business life, you start to forget why you started it. Yeah. And it usually comes down to just a couple of words. I like to help people synthesize it down into a couple of phrases. Like, I know for me, business ownership and entrepreneurship is all about freedom. It's about the freedom to kind of call your own shots and live your life the way you want. If you want to work 30 hours a week and spend more time with the grandchildren at this age, like I do, you know, you should have the freedom and the flexibility to do what you want. So really getting to the essence of who you are and what you want out of life, that really helps you define your why.
That's excellent.
You were speaking earlier about baby boomers starting businesses and what should they do first and so forth. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that baby boomers have?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is after you start the business, keeping it running and growing without basically going insane from the number of hours you have to work. You know, there's a lot of help out there for people starting businesses. There's a lot of great organizations, SCORE and the Small Business Administration, that can help you with that. But after you get up and running, there's new challenges. And often the owner will try to do way too much themselves. You know, money's tight in the beginning. You don't always have the budget to hire everybody you need to hire. But you've got to be careful, because what you love to do and your passion, your purpose can start to kind of fade to the background when you realize that you're working 80 hours a week and you're not able to see those grandchildren. And so getting the help you need early in the game, I think, is really, really important.
Do you think that that's different than it is for a younger person starting a business?
No, I think it's the same for everyone. But I think that baby boomers, having had so much more experience in the workforce, might be a little reluctant to admit they need help or don't know everything that they need to know. I mean, when we work in a job, our experience and our skills are somewhat compartmentalized. We're in marketing or we're in accounting or what have you. When you're a business owner, you've got to wear all those hats. And maybe accounting's not your strong suit, so you're struggling with QuickBooks, spending a lot of time when you could outsource that to a bookkeeper for a few dollars a week and not have to worry about it. So,
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
So now you've mentioned that you've dealt with technology a lot in your career, but not all baby boomers embrace technology. So there's so much now with social media. You have to have a website, you know, all those kinds of things. Texting clients, which I said I would never do. Now I do it. So what would you say to a baby boomer who doesn't want to embrace all of the technology that's available these days?
Well, you only need to embrace what you're comfortable with, because, you know, believe it or not, people are kind of swinging back the other way. We don't get a lot of postcards and envelopes you open up that aren't bills, and that's a fine way to do marketing. Whatever's comfortable for you. I think you do have to be a little bit technically savvy. I mean, you have to at least know how to do email and, you know, operate a computer, know how to do a word processor, those kinds of things. I don't text my clients. I think texting is sort of an intrusion, and I have a philosophy about people that are just doing this all day. It's just not the best thing. You're missing life when you're doing this all day.
Right.
How many times have you gone into a restaurant, as an example, and seen a whole family at the table, and they're not even talking to each other. They're all doing this.
Exactly.
I see that in restaurants a lot.
All the time. And you know, you're paying lots of dollars to go have a nice meal, and then you're not enjoying it. But you know, there are some basics that you need to have in the world of technology. Do you need a website? I used to say yes, you do. But if you don't have the money to get a professional website, there are things like your LinkedIn profile that could substitute as a would-be place for people to land when they want to find out more about you. Until you're ready to actually build some sort of a website. So for me, technology has always been about solving a problem. So not chasing technology for technology's sake, although I will admit I do that because I like the latest gadgets and gizmos. But you have to understand what problem you're trying to solve in your business and then look at the various solutions. Some will be manual, some will be automated. A really good example of that is your calendar. Some people live and die by their calendars on their devices. Some people will not part with their paper calendar. They have that book they carry around with them. So it's really about what works best for you. No rules.
This brings up another question. We've been working with the idea that millennials and baby boomers have a lot to prove to each other and a lot of good that they can do with each other. What do you think millennials need to learn in order to be in business nowadays?
I think that millennials need to keep abreast of trends. I think that's the biggest thing, and be in a position to see what's coming on the horizon. Change is happening so fast today. I think that's the biggest challenge for any business owner, but especially millennials, because they don't have the breadth and depth of experience in the workplace yet.
They don't have a frame of reference.
They don't have a frame of reference, right? And I have a millennial daughter, and I guess she's a millennial. She's right on the cusp, born in '78, and in having discussions around Thanksgiving table with the family, it seems like that the millennials kind of blame us baby boomers for some of the ills in the world, and we may have to take some of that blame.
Yes.
But I think we could really learn from each other if we understand their point of view and they could understand what our point of view was 40 years ago when we started to do some of the things that have culminated in what's happening today. I think we could together come up with some really good solutions for how to make things better in the future.
I think you're right. So there are some baby boomers out there that feel like it's too late for them to live their dreams and achieve their goals. What advice do you have for them?
It's never too late. I saw something just on Facebook the other day, and I'm not going to remember it, but because I'm a baby boomer too. But it talked about how certain people that are prominent in acting and in other areas of our society didn't even get their start until they were in their 50s or 40s or 60s.
Wow.
It's never too late. My mantra is just pursue what's interesting. If something's interesting to you, pursue it. If we follow that mantra, whatever new comes down the pike, we're going to explore it. When I graduated from high school, the only people that had computers were like NASA. It was not even on my radar.
Right.
And then I spent, 20 years in technology. So you just never know what's going to come along, and just stay curious, stay interested, and just check everything out.
It's interesting because on some show this week they were talking about the cell phones that we now have, the smartphones, are 20 times as powerful as the computer that sent people to the moon.
Yeah. When I the first computer that I actually operated and helped to install was about the size of a refrigerator. And it had one of these big disk packs that you took off after you did your backup. It had 9 platters in it, and I lugged it home every night. And that machine had less computing power than even the most inexpensive smartphone today. And now I can't use them because my vision's not that good anymore, but the watches, those are amazing. I'd have one of those if it wasn't for the fact that I have to be putting my glasses on all the time to see it.
I think they're made for young people, definitely.
You have an event coming up with the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I'm going to be running a workshop. The good news is we have all this technology, and it's a lot easier to get out there and be seen in the marketplace. The bad news is it's just as easy for all your competitors, too. So it results in a very noisy marketplace. And you really need what I call a superpower. And it's a sustainable competitive advantage that you would have as a business. And I'm going to be teaching people how to find their superpower in the workshop.
Wow.
That's excellent. You want to give us some details about that?
Yeah, it's going to be on May 4th in the morning at the Plymouth Chamber.
What day of the week is that?
I believe it's a Thursday. I'm not positive. It might be a Wednesday. But if they go out to the Chamber website, they'll be able to see all about it. It's posted out there. So, yeah, there is a cost to come because there's an assessment involved in it, and that cost covers the cost of taking the assessment. And we're going to use that assessment to look at and figure out what somebody's superpower is so that they can really differentiate themselves in the marketplace.
Ooh.
And it doesn't matter whether you own a business or not, actually, because there are a lot of industries where there's fierce competition and it's very difficult for the consumer to differentiate one person from another. A couple of industries that come to mind are real estate agents. How do you know if this real estate agent is for you or that one? Or financial planners or attorneys, home health aides. There's a lot of industries where people really need a way to almost have a personal brand in addition to where they work so that I know that you're the right, one for me to work with because we connect on some level. So it should be a fun morning. I like my workshops to be fun and interactive.
Great.
So
That sounds great. So, and just one little thing, you mentioned to us that you have descendants that came over on the Mayflower.
yes, and it's very exciting because I'll tell you a story. When I first got married and was looking for a home, it was in the 70s when we have double-digit inflation and mortgage rates that were like 13%, and nobody could afford to buy a house. And I worked in Braintree. We had an apartment up there, and we had to keep going further south to find something that we could afford to buy when we were ready to buy a home. So we got to Plymouth, and all of a sudden, I just wanted to live there. I couldn't explain it, and my husband is saying, oh my God, it's so far from where we work. Why do you want to live here? I don't know, but I have to live here. I just have to live here. So we bought a house, and years later, my mother and my father's aunt were doing some genealogy way before the internet, where they were actually going to cemeteries, doing grave rubbings, really doing the research, and they discovered the connection to the Mayflower. And it's amazing to me, Stephen Hopkins is my descendant. Stephen and Elizabeth had the baby on board the ship. And Stephen was quite a character. He had been to the New World more than once and ended up moving out of Plymouth and down to the Yarmouth area. And the joke in our family is that in 400 years we've made like no progress because we're all back in Plymouth now. But it's a great town. I love living in Plymouth.
Excellent. Well, we've run out of time for today. Thank you so much for being with us, Nancy. It's been really great.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been great. It really has. So if you or someone you know is a baby boomer who is retreading, we'd love to tell your story. You can contact us at TwoGranniesOnTheRoad.com.
We want to encourage you to live your goals. What are your goals and dreams? Think outside the box.
Step out of your comfort zone and take action to achieve those dreams.
Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode of Two Grannies on the Road.